Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing a review for Arrow, Season 2, Episode 3, and let's say this is a crazy episode. So we get to see this main villain who's called the Doll Maker. Sounds kind of familiar. Toy Maker, except a lot more violent. You know, Quentin Lance, he has a past with this villain, and this was actually a month after Sarah's death. We get to see that he had this case, but now that he's not a detective, he's trying to get back into the case because he escaped jail after the Glades earthquake, and his daughter actually Laurel ends up being in danger because of all of this. And Laurel's also trying to attack her inner demons with Tommy's death, because she finally admits it's kind of her fault and she's just been blaming the vigilante, Oliver. And then we have the backstory, not backstory, but a little bit more tidbit of Black Canary. If you haven't heard the news, she is Sarah Lance. That's not really a spoiler because they already announced that. My guess is because people would have really been angry if they didn't announce it was Sarah Lance. So you're getting to see those hints of, yeah, of course it's Sarah Lance. And we get to see her a little in this episode, especially more than we have been seeing her in the past. Stuff that actually make us excited about her. We see her secret hiding spot. One thing, she's part of the League of Assassins and they want her back, which I'll get into more when I talk about my speculations and the good and the bad of my review. And that's pretty much that happens, you know. We get to see the villain, the doll maker, some Laurel story. Oh, also Moria. She's going up against a death sentence, so we'll see if she does go through that, or will she reveal information that she doesn't want Oliver and Thea to know. And we have some island flashbacks with Shadow being in danger by these unknown threats, and there's bombs going off, and Slade's face goes on fire, so we understand why he wears the mask, and we get to see Oliver is actually trapped on a boat of these unknown villains. So that was actually pretty interesting too. Did I like this episode? Yeah, it was a pretty good episode. Was it the best episode of the season yet? I don't know, but it was a very solid episode. I really like the Black Canary parts. It makes me super excited. And let me just say, my favorite part was that first scene, where, you know, usually you would say, alright, that was a little bit too quick, that was a cop-out, but it wasn't, because you have the sonic scream, which you can look back on my Black Canary videos and my Arrow reviews, I've always said, if it's not going to be the sonic scream, it's going to be some technology that uses the sonic scream, and that's how they get Oliver out, and I was like, alright, this makes me happy. If we can't have the powers of that, we totally have to have some reference to it. So because it was so easy, it doesn't even matter. Just to have that sonic scream, it shows how powerful that is. So that had to be my favorite part of the episode. And Sin is kind of interesting too, because in the comics she's much younger. But she, you know, Black Canary, I guess technically Laurel's character, or, you know, we'll just say Dinah in the comics, she was the mother to Sin, and Sin ends up dying in the comics. So it's a different type of story, and they're really making it Arrow-esque, I guess. It's using a character from the comics, but totally changing them, which, like Thea, like Mia Dearden, you know, there's a lot of that in Arrow, which I really like. It kind of reminds me of Smallville. So we do get to see Sin, which I think she'll be very interesting, because now that Black Canary has a sidekick, for some odd reason we don't know, will Arrow say, oh, maybe I should have a sidekick? So I'm really interested to see exactly who Sin is also, and I hear that we're going to learn more about Black Canary in the next episode, and something that this episode did for me was actually anticipate it. You know, I've been anticipating finding out about Black Canary, of course, but they didn't give it all, and I'm really happy by that. They gave us little tidbits, and if you already knew that Sarah was Black Canary, you saw those little tidbits in this episode, like when Roy was captured. She's like, alright, worry, you go. You're obviously not. You're connected to the queen. Don't worry, you go. And then she says, Laurel's kidnapped. I gotta go. You know, that's my sister. So I'm very interested to see, will she integrate into her sister and father's life again? Or will she just be the Black Canary? And then let's talk about that League of Assassin reference. We all knew that the League of Assassins were coming, but I didn't expect it to come like that. I don't know if it was announced it was going to be connected to Black Canary, but it totally makes sense. And, you know, Black Canary's always been one of the best combat characters in the DC universe. We all know that. So it makes sense the way the League of Assassins training her. The League of Assassins trained Batman. They're training Black Canary now. And you could see the combat level. Will she be better combat than Oliver? It would make sense because honestly, Black Canary sometimes is better. Well, most of the time is better than Oliver in the comics. So the League of Assassins reference makes so much sense. And I don't know if we'll see Ra's al Ghul, but that'd be pretty cool if we do. I just like a lot of the references here. And love the Watchtower thing. I don't know if that's more of a reference to Birds of Prey. It could be a reference to Smallville. It could be a reference to a lot of things. If they say Watchtower, it could be a reference to Justice League. It's just so many references you can have with that and so much fun you can have with that. Will the layer move? Will that be our layer? I don't know, but that would be kind of cool if we do keep that set piece. Now, the bads of this episode, really not many. I would say not anything big happened, which was kind of a bad, but honestly, I even like the flashbacks in this episode. Usually, I really don't. Usually, they feel out of place. In the beginning, it did, because it doesn't really connect to the story, and it's not really parallel to the story of the present, which I feel they should do more. But we're getting more into Slade, and now he burnt his face. You know, I think we're getting into more interesting territory with the island, so I'm okay with it right now. For now, I'm okay with the flashbacks again, because that was pretty interesting. I think we're all interested in the flashbacks just for Slade, so seeing that made me interested. Yeah, the only bad thing maybe was the doll maker is way too similar to the Toy Man, or Toy, I can't even think of his name right now, Toy Maker. I think it's Toy Man, you know, from the Superman villain. And I always hated Toy Man. I've never been a fan, but it kind of reminded me of that. And the way the guy looked didn't really seem like the doll maker type. He seemed like more of a pretty boy businessman than, oh, let me make you out of a doll. Like, it made more sense the way Toy Man looked. Like, he looked obsessive of these toys. It just felt weird the way, I feel like they didn't cast him right that so much, but it's still a cool horror type episode with that. Yeah, but it was a really good episode. We get, you know, good Laurel and Quentin interaction. Maybe a little less Oliver and Dig and Felicity, but we've been seeing them a lot since the first episode, so it's okay to have a little break with them and concentrate more on the secondary characters. But hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more with Moria and Thea, because they've kind of been pushed to, like, they've mentioned them, but they're not a main focus of the episode, so I'm hoping we'll get more interesting storylines with that. Moria's storyline's interesting, but Thea's kind of just going along with the ride, which might be good and bad for her. And I loved Roy here, of course. I love the parkour scene with Sin and Roy. That had been one of my favorite scenes also. But just a really good episode, and it makes me anticipate for next week. Totally. Very excited for that. And also, guys, I just want to mention, I know I don't have a Tomorrow People review this week, and I probably won't have it next week, but after that, I'll be back on track. I just have some collab videos and schoolwork. So one thing had to be canceled. I thought you guys would want the Arrow review instead, so I will be reviewing Arrow both weeks. It's just Tomorrow People, I will be watching it. I just won't have enough time to review it on time. But then I'll get back on track with Tomorrow People. But I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. And guys, don't forget to follow me on Twitter for Comic Uno and the Rant Situations. And don't forget to like my Facebook page. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.